Hi there, fiber friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria, otherwise known as Lone Wolf Knits Online, and this is my little knitting podcast where I talk about everything that I've been making, mostly knitting. I have spinning today as well to talk about, and it's been a minute since my last update, so I'm trying to think back. I think it's been a little over a month, maybe even more. Since I updated y'all on what I've been making, and I have a lot of finished objects to share, some works in progress, and I think I'm going to do a separate video on all of my 2025 plans. It is January 2nd right now, and I do have all of my plans mostly baked, but I tend to kind of get distracted by all the shiny things and test knits and things like that. So I'm sure they will change, but I do have aspirations for 2025 and would love to share those with you. But today I'm going to be talking about everything that I've made since we last spoke. I'm wearing my first thing that I've made, and so I'll go through all these things. Hopefully you have something to knit on or spin while we chat, and I hope that you had a lovely holiday season. I know I did. I was very, very busy. We got a new puppy, so we now have 3 Chihuahua mixes plus a cat, and that required us to get a new bed, so that was just a whole challenge in and of itself to kind of play musical beds in our house and get our current bed to be our guest bed, and then get a new king bed into our tiny little house and set it up. So that was an adventure. And then I did some traveling to New York for the holidays, spent some time with my family. And in all of that time, I had a couple of test knits that were finishing up, and I can finally talk about them today a little bit. But yeah, it's just been really, really busy on top of just regular holiday stuff and life in general. So let's jump into it. The first thing that I will talk about is my light bright sweater. I will insert some B-roll here. I'm still struggling with a Achilles injury, so it's hard for me to get up and down, but I will share some video of the full fit for this. This is the light bright sweater by Wool & Pine Designs. It is a top-down DK weight sweater, stranded color work, great scrap project. I bought a fade kit from Spun Right Round because I was just in love with the sample colors. It's the same sample colors that they used in Wool & Pine sample. The colors, I actually know the colors off the top of my head. They're Dirty Taffy at the top here, which is this pink color, fades into Cornucopia here, Hellbent here, Quake at the bottom, and then at the very bottom here is Reaper's Rags. So again, that's a fade kit from Spun Right Round. 5 colors. You could use more or less. There's a really nice handy math calculator in there to like get an even fade. What else do I have to tell you about it? I knit the size 46, which normally would give me 6 inches of positive ease. Probably closer to 4 inches or even maybe 2 inches right now. I've gained some holiday weight, as most people do this time of year. So a little less right now. It's a little tighter than I would normally make a sweater, but it's so comfy. I've been wearing it a ton. I love the colors, of course. That's why I was mainly drawn to this, but I already have plans for some scrap stash busting, like a different version with just like colors that I have, maybe even fingering held double. Like I said, it's a DK weight, so I'm really liking the DK sweater weight. Trying to think. This isn't my first DK sweater. I made the ballerina wrap top that I talked about last episode. That's DK, but I never like made a sweater in DK, I don't think. So this would be my first. And again, short sleeve. There's options for long sleeve if that's more your jam. I just didn't have quite enough yarn to do that, and I'm mostly wearing this around the house as kind of like a sweatshirty kind of tee. It's so comfy. I love the shaping. It's got the perfect amount of ease, especially when I lose some weight. And like I mentioned, the pattern has a fade calculator to kind of help you with the math if you wanted to use more or less colors to get like an even fade. I think the construction is pretty straightforward. I wouldn't call it a beginner pattern though, because you are doing two things at once, especially at the top here. You are increasing for your raglan shaping and you're starting your fade. The fade is stranded color work, so you should have some knowledge of keeping your tension good with that. Like, you don't want it to be too tight. But otherwise, I think if it's good for an adventurous knitter, maybe if you want to try it out. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. It's got ribbing along the everywhere along the edges, and the only modifications I made are I did not fold my neckline. In the pattern it tells you to do that. I still might, like, I'm looking at it now, I think I might, but I didn't initially because I did like the slightly higher neckline. But now that I'm looking at it, I think I might fold it over. I was just worried, not worried, but I don't know. I liked it as it was. Let me know in the comments what you think I should do, but I think eventually I will fold it over. Like I mentioned, it's very versatile. I've just been loving wearing it. I feel so put together just having a sweater on and throwing on some jeans. So it's a nice sweater. I would totally knit it again. Again, the Light Bright sweater by Wool & Pine Designs. And I do have another finished object from Wool & Pine Designs. This I've talked about in previous episodes, and I completely forgot to share the finished object with you. So this is the Moss Blossom Shawl by Wool & Pine Designs. It is a really interesting construction. It's basically just a rectangle, but it's seamed at the corner here so that you can wear it more like a triangle shawl. And I'll insert some B-roll. Again, I can't really stand up very easily to show you, but there's a really interesting way to wear this that it basically becomes a triangle looking shawl while you're wearing it without like the issue of it kind of falling off or getting like the ends falling off your shoulder. So I really enjoy that aspect of this. The pattern itself, I've talked about this before, but it's a very engaging pattern. It's got these really nice even bobbles. I'm not usually a bobble fan, but I really like the way my bobbles turned out. The pattern is really easy to follow and very engaging. It has written and charted instructions. And I knit mine in Plucky Knitter. It was a Plucky Knitter Feet. Yeah, the Plucky Knitter Feet. And it was a one-of-a-kind colorway. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was called, but for all these projects, if you wanted more details, I will throw the Ravelry projects in the description below. So yeah, I really loved making this and finishing this. It was, it's definitely been one of my just go-to, especially because it's an off-white, but it's pretty neutral, speckly color, and I feel like it goes with a lot. So I might make this one again. I feel like it's also a good gift, especially for people that you know that love the look of shawls but don't really wear them as much because of, I don't know, how they can be difficult to wear. I don't want to say like difficult, you just throw it on, but it can be difficult to style, I guess, and to keep straight when you're wearing it. So I like this option, and I hope that Wool & Pine comes out with some more patterns like this, like with this design, because it was so simple to seam. I really just like making a rectangle. It kind of reminds me of my baby blanket making days. And yeah, so it's just very straightforward. There's no bias or anything like that. It's just straight knitting a rectangle. And I liked that there was relief rows in this. There's plenty of garter in between some of the lace and the bobbles. So yeah, I was very happy to have finished this, and I'm sorry I didn't get to talk about it when I first finished it. I think I finished maybe November, early November, maybe even earlier. But yeah, very happy with that. And it also smells really good because I put all of my shawls in a little bench, like a storage bench, and then I put my my incense collection around it. So I'm like getting whiffs of amazing scented incense. Okay, so the Moss Blossom Shawl by Wool & Pine Designs. Next, let's see. I have this little bin here of all of my finished stuff that I've started throwing my projects in, so that I know I have all of them to talk about right here to show you. These are the Oxbow socks by Andrea Mowry. I knit these in the India Untangled Anniversary yarn subscription. These were the Artisan Socks by Hazel Knits in the color Floral Fetty, and I absolutely love the speckling in these. It's not too much. It's mostly like bits of pink and purple and some cream mixed in there. I really loved working with this. This yarn for me leans a sport weight, so I should have maybe followed the sport weight instructions. This pattern comes with a fingering and sport weight size, so you can knit it with whatever you have on hand. But I ended up following the instructions for the fingering weight size, and they turned out just fine. But this yarn it does tend to run a little chunkier than a regular fingering weight for me. It was my first time with a tubular cast on. I don't know if you can really see that super well. The top here. I apologize for my nails. I've been doing a lot of ceramics, so I do not have painted nails right now, or very nice nails right now. But yeah, first time with a tubular cast on. I thought this was, I don't know why it took me so long to do a tubular cast on. I just kept hearing that it was very finicky and took a long time and could get really twisted, and I did not really find that as someone who's done a lot of like provisional cast-ons and things of that nature, I didn't really find it that much more complex, or really that it took that much more time. I do like the finished effect, so I will definitely be making more things with a tubular cast on, or even a cast off. I might try a tubular, is that a thing? Yeah, I think that's a thing, tubular cast off. I think it would be great for sleeves, and it turns out great for socks as well. I knit these as part of the annual sock knitting challenge that Andrea Mowry puts out in November. So I knit them over. I finished them for the challenge. It was like 4 days around Thanksgiving, which was absolutely nuts because I was also cooking a lot. I do the whole Thanksgiving thing by myself mostly, and I added turkey to our list this year. Normally, for like the past 8 years, we've been doing the vegan thing, but we have since started eating meat again. So threw turkey into the mix, and it was a big like rearranging. Anyone who does a lot of cooking for a big holiday like that knows that it's definitely like a scheduled thing. So anyway, I really lost a day and a half of knitting these, and then tried to eke them out around all of that cooking, and I'm so glad that I finished it. It wasn't my first challenge finish for the year of sock, or not year of socks, but the sock knitting challenge around this time. I think I did one other pair one year for this, but I'm happy anyway. I have a size 6.5 women's foot, US size, and I made the adult small, and they fit me perfectly. I do think that the heel here is like in pattern. I don't know if you can see that. And if I was gonna make these again, it might be because of the yarn, but I feel like the heel flap is just a little too chunky for me. But again, it could just be, I'm excited to try these with fingering weight, like true fingering weight yarn. Because again, the Hazel Knits Artisan Sock sometimes leans sport for me, and I followed the fingering instructions. So Anyway, I enjoyed the stitch pattern. I enjoyed the socks. I can't wait to wear these. They fit great. And I guess I've been really into pink lately. Like, I don't know. Pink has been having a moment for me right now. So the Oxbow socks by Andrea Mowry. I do have a woolly waffle socks that I'll have to show via a picture because I don't have them in my bin, but they are the woolly waffle socks by Stephen West. It was a whip from my last episode. I talked about them a little bit there. It was in the Pearls Before Wine Carpool colorway. Very squishy. They were leftovers from my ranunculus sweater that I made earlier this year. I got the yarn at Flock, and I just have very special memories of that whole month. Really was amazing for me. But yeah, so I finished those socks. I again have a size 6.5 foot, so I made the size 1. They fit perfect. I've made these socks before and I've talked about these socks before. I just really like the squishy texture of those socks and how easy they are to follow. It's very easy to like read your knitting and see where you are in the pattern at any time. So I will definitely be making more of those socks. I just think it's a really fun pattern. Another pattern that I don't have with me because my partner has not stopped wearing it is the I call it the zigzag hat, but it's called the Brother hat by I don't know who it's by, but I've made it 4 times before. I'll put the maker in the description below. So this is my 4th one. It was made with La Bien-Aimée held double. The colorway I think is called the North. So it's like this really pretty turquoisey, there's some gray in it, there's some green in it. It's a really beautiful deep colorway. This, like I said, is my 4th one and it is his favorite supposedly. I don't think I did anything different for that compared to the other ones that I've made. I know that I knit for 6 inches before I started doing the decreases, and I knit the largest size, but I'm pretty sure I had to go down a needle size. Again, all of that's going to be in the Ravelry description below. Maybe I'm getting a delivery. Sorry for the barks if you can hear them. My next sock that I wanted to talk about is the Fur Rib holiday socks. Well, my version is a holiday version. They're called the Fur Rib socks by Stephen West. And here they are, just still on, come on, camera, don't focus on my face. Focus on my knits. So this is the 2nd time I've made these socks. I really wanted to try a variegated version. And I really love how it turned out. I got some pooling down here. You can see, I can even take them off. Again, apologies if you can hear my dogs. A little pooling at the bottom here. Not too bad, doesn't really bother me because I think the back of the sock is pretty cool. I like how that turned out. This is in the Yarn Love Juliet sock set that I got for Christmas from a dear friend. And again, size 6.5 foot. So I made the size 1. And I finished these. I'm so happy. I finished these on Christmas Day, so I did get to wear them for this year. And I absolutely love how these turned out. I want to do a video, I think, of like all the different ways you can use variegated yarn, and I think this is one of those patterns that just really lends itself great to a variegated yarn, because it really shows off like those little what is this stitch called? I'm blanking on the name of it, but this stitch, which is like you insert your needle a couple of stitches below and pull out those long strands of yarn here to make the rib, that just like breaks up some of the color that's in variegated yarn and really shows off those like beautiful hints of color that otherwise kind of can pull together and get lost. I just really like the way that that turned out for these. So again, these are the Fur Rib Socks by Stephen West. This was also part of the Year of Socks by Stephen West. I did not finish the 2024 Year of Socks. I didn't knit all of the patterns. I do plan to, though, maybe with the exception of like one or two of the patterns that came out that weren't really quite my style, but I feel like socks are one of those things where you can be kind of crazy, and it doesn't have to be you know, your style necessarily, especially if you're just wearing them around the house. You want to experiment with colors. I don't think your socks really have to be safe, neutral colors all the time. They can be fun and crazy. So anyway, that's that. I also will show some photos of my DK ribbed socks, which I made as a gift for my dad's girlfriend this year. Those are by Summer Lee Knits. It was out of her book by that she released, I think, was it this year? I mean, 2024. Maybe the year before, maybe she released it in 2023. Anyway, it's called The Sock Project. I love that book so much, and I have been knitting from it a lot this year. I think this is my third, fourth, fifth, maybe third pattern, but probably the fifth pair of socks that I've made from this book. I loved how fast these came out. These were one of my first DK weight socks that I've made, and I just used fingering held double. I made the size medium to fit a size 9 women's ladyfoot. I used spun right round in the colorway Flying Elvis because my dad's girlfriend absolutely loves Elvis, so I wanted to honor that in a knitted garment. And then I used the Plucky Knitter Feet in colorway Sisters, which is the other, it's like a solid blue. I loved the way that those turned out. I think she loves them as well, and it was really nice to gift those and to not have to spend a ton of time knitting them. I think I knit them, gosh, it had to have been a couple of days. It was crazy. I think it was 3 or 4 days to make both socks, so pretty good. I will also show my DK vanilla sock pattern that I made for my dad. So this is a free pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. Another gift knit. I made the size medium with fingering held double for a size 10 dad foot. And my boyfriend and my dad have the same size foot, so I was kind of trying them on him before I closed the toe to make sure the length was right and all of that. These were a great, DK weight socks in general are great stash busting if you have a lot of fingering. I've come to notice that marling 2 colors together is just really interesting to me. It creates something that's totally different than the 2 yarns put together, or the 2 yarns separately, I mean. And I really liked the way that these turned out for my dad. I was going for kind of like a icy blue, and that's what I think I achieved with these. They're very winter and they're very warm. My dad has been going through a chemo treatment and his feet have been getting really cold. It's also New York, which while I was there, it was like 9 degrees at one point. So it is very, very cold. And his room has this like Italian marble flooring. He's got a bunch of rugs, but Italian marble flooring is very, very cold. It does not retain heat very well. So I'm very glad that I got to gift those to my dad, and I hope he gets a lot of use out of them. I think also DK weight socks should, I think they'll last a little longer, maybe, hopefully. And they're more like slippers. So I hope he gets some use out of them. The last thing I wanted to talk about that I don't have with me, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, is the Sundial Shawl by Wool & Pine Designs. And I'll throw some photos up of what that looks like, but I want to talk about it more when I have it in my hands. Abby from Wool & Pine still has my sample, and she has been she was kind enough to photograph that for me, so I'm very excited to get it back because I pretty much finished it very quickly. I knit it very, very quickly, and sent it over to her, and I just can't wait to get it back. But you've probably seen, if you follow Wool and Pine Designs on Instagram or get their newsletters, you can see my version. I used hand spun, which I do have the sample here, the leftovers, I should say. This was the hand spun that I used. And it's very interesting. This has no green in it, but it shows up on camera like there is green because your camera phone, like I'm sure you can see this a little better now, the camera kind of blends the colors. It's really just purple and yellowish and green, or sorry, turquoise, blue, no green, but your eye visually blends it and the camera visually blends it to kind of come across as green or like a turquoise. But there's really just blues and purples and yellows in here. So this is how much I have left. I used 2 4-ounce braids. I spun this fractal, and it is obviously a 2-ply. So pretty much every row was an adventure in this scarf, and it's a wrap more than a scarf, I would say. It's definitely thicker than a scarf. But it was so fun to knit. It's mosaic knitting, and it's knit on the bias, so it has a little bit of a interest there with some increases and decreases, I-cord border, and these beautiful little tassels on the ends that I loved making. It was my first time making a hand spun tassel. So yeah, I'm very excited to have these photographs from Abby. Thank you so much. And thank you to Selena and Abby in general for thinking about me and requesting that I do this in hand spun. I love this project in hand spun. I think it is such a good idea. Of course, I used like a giant skein of one colorway of hand spun, but I think it would also be really great. Selena's sample is like scrappy, and I think there's, don't quote me, but I believe I don't want to say, it's a couple ounces per stripe of yarn that you need in fingering weight. So it's a great scrappy project, and it is great to use up all those little leftovers that you have as a hand spinner. I know I have a lot of leftover little baby skeins that would look great in that together. And then I just held like a plain white along with this color. So I loved knitting that. It was definitely my favorite project of 2024 by far, and it was really hard to keep it a secret this whole time. I really wanted to spill the beans, but I was keeping it under wraps. So that pattern is out now. It's called the Sundial Wrap, and it is a great stash buster, or use hand spun. I loved it. I love knitting it. So with that, that's my last finished object. I do have a couple of whips to go through really quickly and some spinning to show you. So I guess I do have a finished spinning object. This was my first sock yarn. It is probably, I haven't looked at the measure, like I haven't done the reps per inch on it yet, but I believe it's going to be a sport weight, maybe even a DK. I don't really know, but I loved spinning this. It was a little tricky. If you're a new spinner, one of the things that makes it a sock yarn is the superwash wool and the nylon in it. And that was a little tricky to spin. I think I have some leftovers on my bobbin here if I can pull it out without making a lot of noise. Okay. So you can see the fiber here is a little, I don't know, it's just a little slippery. This is what I have left over, and this was 1 ply. Obviously it's a 2-ply, and this 1 ply that I've used is Wound Up Fiber Arts in the color Rise Above. And it is, again, this is the superwash merino and nylon blend. That's what makes it your socks strong and stretchy. I'm very excited to knit with that. I'm so pumped. The ply was, I think, just a Falkland that I plied it with. I'll have to look at my Ravelry notes and I'll include that below. But yeah, I just really love how this turned out. I love all the colors in this. When I was spinning it, I thought there would be a lot more white. As you can see, sorry for the noise, in the bobbin here, there's definitely a lot of white, but the way that it mixed with whatever I mixed it with, I can't believe I forgot already, kind of just melded all the colors together, which is totally fine. I really love the bits of ochre in here and the bits of pink and even some purple in here. I don't know if you can see that very well on the camera, but yeah, very excited to knit with this. Super, super pumped. And I know I wasn't going to talk about any of my 2025 stuff, but one of my major goals this year is to always be knitting with hand spun, always having one project on my needles that is from my hand spun, because I love spinning and I love knitting and I love using my hand spun, and I'm really committed to using the hand spun that I'm making. I don't want it to just sit on a shelf forever. So this will be socks soon, hopefully. Speaking of hand spun, let me reach down and grab my hand spun project that I'm currently working on, making good on my 2025 goals. I started this last week, basically. And it is the Rad Plaid Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And hopefully that is focusing. This is a very subtle hand spun for me, and so I don't know if it's coming across on camera very well, but it's got little bits of pink and yellow and brown in here. So the Rad Plaid Cowl is 3 colors. It is another mosaic knit. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the sundial wrap, but that's a mosaic knitting, mosaic color work. And so you're holding only one strand of yarn at a time when you're knitting with a mosaic, but it looks like color work, and it is color work. It's just a different kind of color work, and that is my preferred color work. I really don't enjoy stranded color work as much. I'll do it for the end results, but I prefer mosaic. I just like knitting with one strand at a time and not having to catch floats, and I just like the fabric that mosaic knitting produces more than a stranded color work. And so there's a fluff. I believe this is from Pearl Soho. I don't remember the exact details. I think it's Tussa silk. It's like a cream, like slightly off-white, but not super yellow, white, very snowy white. And this is, I think I still have the insert in it. This is, I believe, ampersand fibers. I know it's La Mercerie. I got it at La Mercerie. Yes. So look at that beautiful warm, not quite warm. I would say maybe it's like a wallaby gray, almost purpley. It's not warm, but I don't know. Sometimes it reads as a little more warm than it looks. Ampersand fibers, let's see what the color is. Pompadour is the color, and it's 100% Corriedale wool. It's on their Caslon fingering base, and I think it's a 2-ply, maybe a 3-ply. 3-ply, it is a 3-ply. Love this color. And then this is my hand spun here. So this was a 2-ply. I believe it was a BFL, but I'll have to link it below. So you can see inside in the very middle some of those colors like I was talking about with the yellow and the pinks and the browns. And I really like how all of those are coming together in this cowl. I cannot wait to finish it. So it's a little slow going because every row is essentially knit 3 times. At least 3 to make this pattern. And so it's a thicker cowl. It's going to be a tube cowl. So I will, the end here is a provisional cast on, and then you knit them together at the end with a little twist in the middle. So I'd say maybe I'm about a quarter of the way done. I think I have to knit this for like 28 inches or something. So yeah, it's gonna take a little while longer, but it's also, it looks like a complex pattern, but it's pretty simple. It's just a 2-stitch repeat in all these different colors. So it's a great project for my knit nights when I need something to work on that doesn't take a lot of headspace and not a lot of counting. It's very visually stimulating, so you pretty much know where you are in the pattern. It's easy to read, I guess I should say. And so that is my Rad Plaid Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And I hope to finish this. I mean, I don't have any deadline to finish it, but I would like to finish it soon. And I'm also really excited because it's a neutral. I don't, like, it reads as a neutral. There's definitely some like hints of color in here, but I don't like knitting a ton of neutrals. They have to have a little something extra for me to want to knit them. Otherwise, I would rather just like, I'd almost rather just buy a neutral knit. I just find them a little boring to work with, but I need them in my closet. I just need them. I need some options that aren't super colorful to match all of my jackets and stuff like that. So I'm trying to toe that line and make a couple more neutral things. They're also great to gift knit. So I should do more neutral knitting. I just like the colorful stuff. I like knitting with the colorful stuff. Okay. My next WIP is very, very old, but in the spirit of 2025, one of my goals that I will go into in my next video is finishing all of my WIPs, which it's embarrassing the amount of WIPs that I have. So I'm hoping that I knock off a few of them before I have to talk about all of the WIPs that I have, but it's like a staggering amount. I think it's definitely double digits. I'm hoping it's under 50. I'm really hoping it's under 50. I think it is, but probably not that far off, if I'm honest. I have a WIP wall back here of like all of my WIPs. I have a WIP on this chair, my Sweet Shop blanket, a couple blankets, and like this is a organization project for 2025, but I have a lot of WIPs in boxes, in like bags in boxes, stored under my desk back there, and it's embarrassing. So this is a very, very old WIP. It is the Dandelion Shawl by Knit Graffiti, Dandelion Fields shawl. And I want to finish this. It's a brioche shawl. It's got really beautiful increases and decreases, and I'm just at the last section, I believe, of the shawl. So it starts out, it's a crescent shawl, starts out at the bottom there. And I really love how versatile this is. So this is the front, technically, and I used a variegated yarn on the back, and I will have to link the yarn in the description below because I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's, I have the skein here. Oop, it's a little messy. In person, it is a lot more like camo looking, but I was drawn to it because of how beautiful it looks from afar, and these are kind of scrunched on my needles, so it's really not going to do it much justice here, but I love all of these colors separately, and I wanted to be able to use, even my lighting is really terrible right now, I apologize. January in the Pacific Northwest, not good. It is almost noon and the sun is like not really sure if it's coming out. Anyway, I'm really this yarn is so squishy and beautiful, and I love knitting brioche, and I just really want to finish it. So my my bestie and I, she's just casting on hers, and I'm going to finish mine this year. So that is the Dandelion Fields shawl by Knit Graffiti. If you haven't heard of her, you probably have if you like brioche at all. She pumps out a lot of brioche patterns, and she's really known for her brioche designs. I love her stuff. I love all of her shawls, but I just have a hard time finishing them for some reason. I think it's just when you get to this point, like usually they start at one corner or in the very center, and you have a lot of stitches on your needles here, and it's just a big row commitment at that point. So I just find them a little harder to finish. They're absolutely stunning though. I mean, just look at that. I mean, why did I stop knitting this? I need to finish it. So it is out in my face. I have to look at it every day, and I'm hoping that I will shape myself into finishing it so that I can wear it and enjoy it. So that is one of the whips on my needles right now that I'm focusing on. And of course, I would be remiss to not talk about a sock pattern that I'm working on. Not even because I've been traveling a lot, which I have been, but I've just come to realize that I enjoy knitting socks all of the time, and it's my favorite end of day project because you're not really moving your hands a lot, or at least the way I knit, I'm not moving my hands a lot. And so it's good if you're like a little fatigued from normal knitting or spinning and you want to work on something that's like a very small little mini project. Also great if you have a sleeping puppy on you, which has been my situation for the past couple weeks. So these are the Flying Foxtail socks by Stephen West, and I don't think that these colors are unfortunately probably not coming across very well in my low light situation here, but I love this, a brioche pattern on the front here, and that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to pick up my Dandelion Fields shawl, is because I started knitting these and I was like, oh my gosh, I love brioche, and I haven't knit brioche in a long time. So I'm very excited to pick these up and knit on something really small brioche and something a little larger project. These are knit on a size 0 needle. Normally I'm knitting on a size 1 for socks, so this is just even more of an insane tiny needle. And the pattern itself reminded me of like shell, like ocean shells. And so I got some dog hair on here, excuse that. But these are my two colors. So this top one here is my main color. It's a white-ish neutral, but there's lots of subtle speckles in here. And then the bottom is Ritual Dyes Sunstone. It was the colorway from, I believe it was from Flock. Ritual Dyes like exclusive Flock colorway. I love this color so much. And it's kind of like a burnt orange. I don't know if it's really showing up that way. It's like a shell orange though. Like it reminds me of the inside of a shell. And this one is, this white is from the Endless Skein, which is a yarn shop in Cold Spring, New York. My father bought me this yarn. It was very special. I had other plans with it for a different pair of socks, but I decided it went really well with the Ritual Dyes, and I just was in love with these two colors together. So that's what I'm working on for these socks. And I love this pattern because it's obviously a little complex on the front, but there's a lot of relief rows of just plain two-color brioche. And then on the back, it's like a very squishy, it's not garter, but it kind of looks, it reads like garter. I think it's reverse garter, if that's what it's called. Don't quote me. But squishy on the back and kind of like a relief half row, if you will. I'm knitting these, of course, on Magic Loop. So normally you would place a stitch marker at the end of the pattern, but that's what I'm doing. This is my first sock, so lots of knitting ahead of me on those size zeros. All right. All my knitting stuff is everywhere. That's it for knitting. Excuse this bag. I do have a couple of spinning things to show you, whips. So if you're in the mood for that, stick with me. If not, thank you for joining, and hope to see you next time. But let's get into some spinnings. I have been very excited about spindle spinning, supported spindle spinning. This is a very heavy spindle from, I believe it's called Spindoline is his Etsy name. I will throw it in the description below. But this is a very heavy spindle with a carbon fiber shaft and a very heavy weighted metal and wood base here. I think I've shown this spindle before, but anyway, I'm spinning a bat by M to the third that I got at Sacred Sheep in Portland this year. And again, my lighting is going to be dog poop, but it's got a lot of yellows, like almost neon yellows, I would say, but like yellow greens and whites and almost blacks and a couple of blues, which you're definitely probably not going to be able to see because they're very mixed in there. I'm not even going to try anymore. I love this spin. It's my spindle's finally getting heavy enough that it's spinning even faster than I'm used to, so it's just going by really fast, and I'm trying to do you know, tear off a little fluff of the bat and spin this every day. So I'm hoping that'll be done, but I'm struggling to figure out what to ply with it, or if I should try chain plying this. I've never chain plied before. It kind of intimidates me. But this might be my first chain ply project. I just don't think that I want to mix white with it, like a plain white, to ply it with, but I also don't want to use it as a single, so I feel like it needs a little something else. But I don't want to take away from it. So let me know in the comments if you have suggestions for really special one ply yarn and what you would pair this with, especially these colors. I'm just like struggling. I don't want to use a gray to like continue to gray it out, but I want to show it off. So let me know if you have suggestions of what to ply this with, but that is one of my support spindles. My next support spindle, I think I've shown this one here before too. It's not a new support spindle for me. I bought it a while ago. Again, it's Etsy, and I don't remember, this is like the signature that's on the bottom of it, but it comes in this really nice spinning bowl with some brass in the middle there, and the tip of the whorl here is also brass, so although it's wood, it is not going to wear down. I don't know if you can really see that brass tip very well, but these are really well made spindles, and I love the spinning bowl. I don't always love when spindles come with the spinning bowl. I tend to like want to use my own bowl with it, or a different bowl, but this one I do end up using a lot, and I like it when I'm sitting in this chair because I put this bowl on my side and I spin while I'm like watching YouTube or doing stuff on the computer. So this is I didn't really show the yarn, but it is spun from Rolags. Here's the Rolag. So you can see it's very holiday themed. There's some glitter in there, a mix of fiber. These are Rolags from Silly Sheep Designs, which she just closed her shop. I'm so sad about it, but I bought these a couple months ago and I haven't finished spinning them yet. I love her Rolags so much. They're really chunky, they're very generous, and hopefully you can see in the spindle here like just how many flecks of different colors there are in it, from I think it's sari silk that you're really seeing there, or like little bits of silk thread mixed throughout. So I'm very excited to ply this with something. I don't know what I'm gonna ply it with yet. I'm thinking a red, just to go full red, super red yarn, but not quite sure yet. I think a pink would also look really cute for like a Valentine's Day kind of thing, but I have a while to go. I think I have 3 or 4 more Rolags, and I'm really enjoying working on this. So that is another spin, and because I am excessive, I have one more supported spindle. I don't think I've talked about this one before. It is technically an acquisition. I think I bought it for myself for Christmas, but it arrived a little earlier. Excuse me. And I think it's from Viscount Wood Turning, if I had to guess. I think that's the name of the Etsy shop. And it's got this really cute mushroom on it. This pink mushroom. Wood, all wood, different types of wood throughout this spindle. And another Rolag from Silly Sheep Designs. So these are sold in sets normally. Again, she's not in business anymore, so I'm like being really precious about these, but I don't want them to sit in my stash. So I am using them, and I just really like the yarn that this is creating. Hopefully you can see that. Please focus, camera. Lots of blues, lots of different shades of blue. I think these are, so these Rolags were called Lovesick, I believe, and this is called Frigid Bitch, this colorway, or, you know, Rolag type. Let me roll it up too so you can kind of get the full effect, but gorgeous. Come on, focus. Gorgeous. It's also got bits of, not ochre, but like a gold. I don't know if you can see that, like right here a little bit maybe, but beautiful, beautiful bits of gold. There's some here too. Focus, focus. And these also have sparkles in them, but it's much more subtle sparkle. Like you can kind of see comparison wise, like, I don't know if you can see actually, but this, just trust me, this top one has a lot less sparkle. It still has some sparkle, a lot of blue sparkle, and this is mainly like red sparkle, but maybe you can kind of see in the Rolags themselves. Maybe not though. The red is definitely more sparkle heavy. It's hard to tell. You'll just have to trust me. So I'm excited for this more subtle sparkle, and I'm not sure what I'm going to apply this one with either, but I'm excited to finish it. And this one's going by extremely fast, even though this spindle is a little less heavy than some of my other spindles, especially this one. I don't know the ounces off the top of my head, but this one is just flying by because I think the Rolags themselves are a little fluffier. They're definitely fluffier. And so it's just flying off my spindle. And that is all of the spinning stuff that I have to talk about. If you're still with me after 52 minutes, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you are working on something amazing in this new year, and I wish you peace, happiness, and love, and knitting too. Let's get on those fiber projects this year. Like I said, I will be doing another video very soon of all of my 2025 knitting plans and goals. But in the meantime, happy knitting!